Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD. And today I am going to talk about how to believe in yourself because my mission is to bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can access deeper healing in your everyday lives and experience more peace, love, and joy. So that is the point. Every week, I will sit and reflect, meditate on themes that have come up in my practice with my patients, in my personal life, in the community, in the greater world around us. And so this week, what's come up is believing in yourself. And those feelings of like when you're unsure and maybe you feel like other people don't believe in you, or or maybe it's not actually true, but you feel that way and you're not sure how to boost that confidence in yourself. Or maybe somebody says something to you that gets you down, and you're not sure how to like move on from it. You need to like pick yourself up. And so it just sounds so easy and maybe sometimes trite to say, just believe in yourself. But if it was that easy, I guess everyone would be doing it. It does take some training and reminding of your ego mind so that it can groove in and establish these neural pathways of your brain literally needs to be wired for this. But as you do that, you will find that it's actually a very natural state to be in, to believe in yourself. A baby believes in herself, himself. And so it's like, how do you maintain that natural state of being? So we need these reminders. And that's what we're going to do in this podcast today. I'm going to go through four aspects of process that I use for myself. You don't have to do these steps in any particular order. It's ways to look at how do you actually cultivate believing in yourself so that you can live in this state from day to day. So, really, the bulk of it is to fill your inner world because that's what believing yourself is. It's having this rich inner world in yourself, so that you are not relying on the external world to tell you how you should think and feel about yourself. So if you don't have a rich inner world, it's you're always external seeking, looking on the outside to fill you. But you see, it never feels quite right because you can't ever fill yourself completely with the external world. You have to fill your internal world so that you can create the world around you and live in it, this world that you've created, how you feel it. So it is feeling it first inside and then creating it out. So to keep that phrase in your mind of like, how can I fill my inner world? And then that takes us to nourishing our strengths. So our strengths are our unique gifts that we brought to the world, and it helps us to nourish that because it's what lights us up. So if you move through the world with just thinking like, what lights you up? What makes you feel alive? What makes all your cells sing? And then do those things in the world. And I'm not talking about in a destructive way where it's you go on a binge of whatever habit you might have that is not actually overall healthy for you. I'm talking about something that is sustainable. So something that if you did more often, it actually would help sustain you because it helps you feel so good. Everybody has these natural gifts. So some people love to sing, other people like to create art, other people are writers, other people are speakers. There's all different kinds of professions. So it's whatever really helps you feel alive in this world. And to nurture that every single day because that is unique to you and the world needs you to share your strengths with it so that we can have more peace and harmony and joy in our world. So it's not when you find something or you feel something that really makes you feel alive, don't feel that it's wrong for you to spend time doing that. So I would actually set aside time to help you step into that more because it helps you enter into this flow state where you just you're having fun, you feel alive. You don't even feel like you have to think because it comes to you so easily. Those are your natural gifts. So and when you get into that flow state, you're actually in this more meditative state. And a meditative state is when spirit is coming through you and you are expressing it in the world. So it's that light and love that's already within you. So that's your inner world and you are basically expressing it into the world. So that's what it means to nourish your strengths. And then next is to tend to your weaknesses. And again, this doesn't have to be in any particular order. It can be in whatever comes to you in that moment. So when I say I put weaknesses in quotes because weaknesses are actually your hidden strengths. So these are your shadow sides that maybe you shy away from because you feel like you don't like those parts of yourself. And we we all are we can easily find our what is called quote weaknesses or hidden strengths because you can just use whatever triggers you on any regular day and then that will bring up to the surface those shadow parts of yourself that maybe you've shied away from and you wanted not to look at. Comparison is a common trigger. So, anytime you feel like you're comparing yourself to someone else that has done more and been more, and you feel like you can't live up to that, and that is a trigger. When you feel like you can't live up to it or you'll never be that, that is a trigger. When you find yourself like thinking of that of someone, it actually is a source of inspiration because it's like, oh, it's pointing to what you would love to do in the world, what you would love to be. And so then you can start to change those weaknesses and develop them so there you can actually turn them around into your strengths. So how can we do that? So if you take a trigger and just say, okay, it sets you off. It makes you feel bad. Like someone said, oh, you're not really good at that. Or yeah, you'll never be able to do that. Okay. So maybe it triggers you. Then just take a moment. Have bring yourself to a safe space where you can embrace yourself. It's like if you had a baby and they were crying, you needed to pick that baby up and to soothe it. So you'd bring it to a safe space and then feel into it. So this is going to be the opposite of what we tend to want to do is like to run away from uncomfortable emotions. We're going to gently pick it up and then just start breathing into what you're feeling. And then as you breathe into what you're feeling, then to feel into where do you feel that in your body? And then as you feel that in your body, add more breath and awareness there because your breathing is you breathing spirit in and out. So as you bring your awareness and then direct that vibration there and direct your breath there, you will help to support that hidden strength or what was looked at as a weakness into and help nourish it so that it can start to thrive. So you're picking up that baby that the something triggered you, you felt a certain way, so you're going to pick up that uncomfortable emotion, which is the baby. You're going to help breathe into it, help feel where do you feel that in your body, and then keep breathing into it and adding that awareness, and that's how you cradle yourself. And then you can add another step to that. So you're doing that first in the present of like what triggered you in the immediate, in the now. But then you can also scan now, why is it a trigger? Why does it trigger? Because, sometimes people say things and it doesn't get to you. And other times they say things and it does get to you. And I still look at this for myself because I look at it with some curiosity because usually I'm pretty like easy, free flowing, but every now and then someone will say something to me, and I'm like, "Ooh, that kind of hurts my feelings." But I use that as an opportunity to explore myself. So that is in filling your inner world. And I look at it and I study it because I study myself in a very gentle way, not in a staring way of like, ooh, why are you there? But like, huh, I wonder what that is. So I pick up the baby, attend to it, breathe into it. But then I also start to scan my life and I look and see, when else have I ever felt like that? And I start earlier in life, like in childhood, because what I am curious about is, where did that pattern start? Where it's become a trigger. So if someone just hits it in just the right way, it triggers, and then these subconscious patterns and emotions and things that you thought that maybe you were over, or you thought it was done with, comes to the surface again. So then I do the same thing to my younger self. So I listen, and if I find time period where I felt the same way, where it triggered and hurt my feelings, or it made me feel something uncomfortable, then I start to have a conversation with my younger self. And I just hear myself out, because chances are there was a period of time where you didn't feel seen or heard or understood. But now you have this opportunity to do that for yourself. So you have this dialogue, this conversation with your younger self and say, hey, how do you feel? How did you feel? What happened? Tell me about it. And then you approach with understanding and lots of love, and then embrace your younger self too, just like you picked up that baby and embraced it, and hug it in, and ask that part of yourself to come back home, because you understand them, and you can be that person for yourself, to believe in yourself and say, hey, I hear you, I see you, I understand you, I believe in you. And you hug that aspect of yourself back in. So over time, you can just keep gathering these different parts of yourself and bring them back home. And you see, you're enriching your inner world, you're enriching you. And so you can cultivate this belief in yourself because you're practicing it. So you don't have to do all these different elements at once. You can just pick the part that calls to you at a moment and tend to it then. So I said, I started the conversation with, first, we're talking with filling your inner world, then nourish your strengths by doing what lights you up, and then tending to your quote weaknesses and bringing these aspects of yourself back home, tending to those shadow sides and bringing them back to your inner love and light, so that they don't have to remain shadows or weaknesses. They are parts of you that are just waiting for you to see them, speak to them, love them, understand them. So these are all parts of you. See, you're starting to believe in various aspects of yourself, and you build it and build it and build it. And you have this huge, ginormous foundation over time. And if you practice just a little bit every day, then you'll see. And then this last part is that, yes, it takes courage. So have courage. You're paving a new path for yourself, a new way of being. And anytime we enter this territory that feels different or unknown, it's natural to feel afraid or nervous. And so it does take courage. And so, consider, like, what if it all worked out for yourself? So trust in that somehow, because it is your nature to blossom, just like the trees grow, the flowers bloom. Nature continues, and nature knows how to renew itself. Nature knows how to flourish and come springtime and blossom. So trust in that. That's a part of your nature. You're a part of nature, and it is part of your nature to blossom. So it is okay to be afraid. So having courage doesn't mean not being afraid. It means being okay to be afraid. And how often have you felt nervous or scared or afraid to do something new or to change in some way? And you see this in little people, you see this in adults. My little one was saying to me just earlier that, like, mommy, I'm scared. I have to do this thing. It was an evaluation. She'll get a grade on it. She's like, I'm scared. I'm scared, and everyone will be watching me. And adults feel the same way too. I'm scared. They'll be watching me. I'm going to be evaluated. So getting a grade in a way. And And I told her, I was like, I love you no matter what. Whatever you get, you are still completely lovable. And she was full of the but, which is it's totally okay. And I get it too. But I felt in myself, my role was to feel the okayness with me being okay with her discomfort. So you're cultivate it for yourself, like, so being okay with your own discomfort, and you can do that. If we're talking about family and kids or loved ones, is this like feeling okayness in their discomfort, because then they will feel that it's okay. Because if you start to get nervous and start to wind up with their discomfort, like, "Oh, I'm scared," and you just want to make it better and make them feel okay, but the world doesn't really work like that. There are going to be ups and downs, and so practicing being okay with the ups and downs. And so I feel like my role is to feel that okayness so she can feel that okayness. And then you do this for yourself. And that's how you fill your inner world and you nourish yourself, nourish both your strengths and your weaknesses by having courage to feel this okayness, no matter what you feel. And that doesn't mean that you don't feel sad. That doesn't mean you don't feel uncomfortable. It's being okay with however you feel, because you are lovable no matter what. And you can exercise this courage muscle by doing one small thing differently every day. So the courage to do new things, the courage to change. And doing one small thing differently, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. It could just be taking a different path to when you drive, or it could be choosing something new to eat, or trying a new recipe. So doing one small thing differently every day. And in this modern world, it's interesting because I was thinking about it in terms of health and physical health. And then we can think of a mindset and our spiritual health. But in this modern world, we walk on these flat floors, and the streets are paved, so everything's like flat and smooth. But the natural world isn't like that. It's filled with bumps and textures and grooves, and even if the land is really flat, there's more to it than that. It's not this sameness. It's not all smooth going sameness, and sameness isn't actually healthy. Although the ego mind wants us to believe that sameness is healthy because it wants us to contain in this box of the known. But staying in that box of known isn't healthy. It's the flowing with the ups and downs. It's moving through the world. It's moving through the natural world. So if I just in another analogy, it's just like, okay, from the flat floors and the flat pavement, it's like, what would be more natural and healthy is actually having some grooves and ups and downs and world. And so if you imagine like walking barefoot outside in nature in a safe spot, you would get that idea of like, yeah, that is healthy to have different textures, to have differences, to have different experiences, to have change in your world, and to be able to flow through change is healthier than sameness. So, and then this translate that flatness actually translate physically as well, because people have more foot issues, and the foot issues, these are your foundation, so it leads to like back pain and other issues. And so a simple exercise that I would recommend is like walking on different surfaces, and that actually stimulates your brain, and it actually is helpful for innovation and even memory. But if you were just take a tennis ball and then just to massage your foot on top of it, then your foot gets to feel these different kinds of movements and surfaces, and not always like feeling flatness. So a different way to look at it. I'm going in and out of weaving in and out this of physical and emotional and mind and spirit. But what I want you to see, I hope for you to see, is that it's the same in every dimension. So you could take an analogy of what's healthy in one dimension and then expand that into the other dimensions. And then you can start to see, like, oh, this is what it means to cultivate your inner world. Like what's healthy in the physical, and then bring that into the mental, emotional, and then, breathe that in, add that spiritual element to it. So I know this is talking about how to believe in yourself in a different way, but I hope that was enlightening for you in some way. And if you need any clarification on it, I love clarity, I love efficiency. So I love to know what your stuck points are so that we can bring them to the light and in the same way nourish them, tend to them so they can shift and be sources of healing. So your stuck points tell you where the healing is, and that is the same way of how to believe in yourself. So just to wrap up, it was first we talked about fill your inner world, and then we talked about nourishing your strengths and what that means, and then ways to tend to your weaknesses, which are actually hidden strengths if you are willing to tend to them and have the courage to look at them so that you can believe in yourself. And as always, I believe in you. So I hope that you believe in you too. If you'd like to connect with me in any other way, you can on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics. And you can sign up for my love letters, send them out once a week on Wednesdays. And you can do that at allworldshealth.com. So lots of love to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. And please write, comment, like, subscribe, and I will get back to you if you have any questions. So take care, and I'll see you next week sometime on Wednesday for another episode of the Multidimensional MD. Bye.